Welcome to Tag You're It. I'm Larry Anaya, along with Gene Rotondo. We are the Tagrisk insurance team coming to you from one of Southern California's finest restaurants, bars, nightclubs, or lounges. In each one of our episodes, we dive into the hottest hospitality topics of the day. And with that, let's get started. So Gene and I are here at Legends in Long Beach on 2nd Street, historic location. Gene was the owner of this location, sold it off to the new partners. Gene, please share with me your experiences in the hospitality industry.
Well, my background was in Wall Street for 30 years and kind of got involved in here. I used to be a customer for years, and then the opportunity came up to purchase it, and I put a group together, and one thing led to another, and we expanded to 5 locations at one time, and never looked back. And so we had it for 23 years, and then I decided to retire, and that lasted about 3 days. And I started chasing parked cars, so I had to get into something else. Then Larry hit me up because they were the people that insured us, and he says, "Hey, you know what? You know a lot of people out here in the hospitality industry. Why don't you get involved with me here, and let's grow the company?" So that's why I'm here.
Yeah, Gene has the unique experience of having, seen things from both lenses now. And what we're hopeful of in this particular show is to share with the viewers that, what they should be thinking about in regards to their own restaurant from that perspective, but also from the insurance side of things, of how he sees it now. Gene, you had a very unique experience here. I mean, the place looks so wonderful now, but there was one time that you guys had what most people think is never going to happen. You had a fire, a catastrophic fire. Please share how that was.
Yeah, well, it was interesting. We've experienced a few hazards, actually, after we expanded. But here, you pay insurance, in our case, 20 years, and you have no claims. And you kind of go, God, all this money I'm spending on insurance. And then one day, fryer doesn't work the proper way, and you have a fire and you lose everything. And it's extremely emotional. But $2.5 million later, you kind of go, boy, I sure was smart having all that insurance. And so we were properly covered and back in business, and we grew more and did more business here after the fire. So things work out the way God wants them to, I guess.
Absolutely. And every claim and every fire is unique. How long were you closed from the date of the fire to the reopening?
Good question. It actually was longer than it should have been. It was almost 1.5 years because we were thinking about selling, and at the very last minute, the deal fell through. So I turned to my wife. I said, "You want to be back in business again?" She said, "We got to do what you got to do." So it was 1.5 years when we reopened, and business was even better. But a lot of it was that allowed us to do that was the coverage that kept us the rent in place and all the things that we needed to do.
Yeah, which is very important, and we'll get into that. That's the business income side of things. How quickly do you think you could have gotten open if none of those other things were in the way? Would it have been 9 months, a year, somewhere in between all that?
At least, I would say probably 9 months to a year, because we had to get some variances once we reopened. ADA and all these other things
basically going to the law and ordinance side of all of this.
Correct.
It's like when you have an older building, as this was, I forget what year it was built, but it was pretty old, right?
Oh, yeah.
And so now all of a sudden you've had this fire and everything's done. Well, now you have to come up to today's standards. You can't just replace what once was, because that might have been the faulty issue, right?
Correct.
Of getting those things solved. And so for you, were there things that you saw afterwards, like maybe the electrical panels or some of the other things that might have helped you prevent the loss? Any kind of maintenance that customers out there ought to be considering from their perspective at this moment?
Maintenance is really very, very important. After I left Legends, I also did inspections for the insurance industry, etc., and I became much more knowledgeable. I'm an old guy, so I was a busboy at the Last Supper. So when you're that old, you can't help but gather more and more information, and so I'm much more knowledgeable now. And as it turned out, the fire was caused by a faulty fryer and
So a
the
piece of
shutoff
machinery.
valve. And I don't know how you can check that,
Solve for
but
that.
the shutoff valve didn't work and a gas leak occurred. So maintenance is really important.
Yeah, absolutely. And over my 31 years of experience, I've had experienced a number of claims. It could be faulty equipment. I remember when the El Torito exploded, it was because of a hot water heater that didn't release.
Right.
And all the pressure in there, and it caused some death and injury and a lot of other things. And so, yeah, that's all possible. I wanted to bring up the business income because a lot of our customers out there, when I'm going and reviewing policies, I often find that people don't have enough coverage. And you've already heard it here from Gene that it was somewhere between 8 months to a year of what was necessary to pay the ongoing bills and costs, let alone the profits of the ownership group. I mean, this is truly your business's life support while you're not making any revenue. And so it sounds like you had the proper amount of coverage.
If we didn't, I don't know how we would have survived, but it's something I focus on a lot when I'm talking to prospective insured individuals, because it covers so many things. It covers key employees, it covers your rent. I've seen situations where people have to close down because of a fire or something, and I've seen landlords come in and go, well, if you can't pay your rent, and they end up taking over the business. And what do you do? So it takes care of so many things, and we had enough to take care of everything we needed to do, and we ended up with a beautiful place that we literally increased our revenue probably at least 30 to 50%.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the place turned out great. I remember coming in here and introducing myself to you not too long afterwards. I remember coming in before and then coming in afterwards. I was like, okay, they're back. Let me see if I might be able to earn this guy's business. And so I did what I always do. I'm going door to door and introducing myself to prospective customers. That's why we're doing this right now with all of you, to hope that you give us a call and an opportunity to see what we can do for you. But in Gene's case, when I walked in the door, please share with the customers, you're now not only working with us, but at that time you made a choice as to who you were with before and choosing to go with us. Please share what that was.
Well, it really is a matter of how detailed you want to get to go in, talking to different people and seeing what their needs are. So one of the things that stood up, we have at least $250,000 worth of memorabilia in here, as it is today. And we had a rider on there for fine art. And you wouldn't think normally that fine art would be associated with memorabilia,
right.
But we've got Babe Ruth signed balls, we got Jordan, we got some really classic things here. And how do you get that covered? And because we had these important things that were earmarked for our location, it made a big difference, and we really never had much of a shortfall except for some key things that the landlord wanted to do while it was here, but he took care of that. But it's so important to really go over your policies and look at the exclusions. And that's probably one of the most important things, is look at the exclusions, because that can tear a policy apart.
Yeah, it's really what I key in on when talking that over with a customer. And so I did that with Gene, reviewed his policy, saw that he did not have fine arts coverage. We talked about the ability to take a Lloyd's of London policy and really earmark all of these things that are on the wall here to make sure that what happened before, if it should happen again, that they're not going to lose out on the investment that they have on all these walls. It truly is. And fine arts, I guarantee most of you out there that have memorabilia on your wall or any kind of art worth any money, you're not covered for that. And your agent probably doesn't know that you're not covered for that. A lot of people work with general agents out there, and they do a great job for a multitude of business, but they're not an expert in any. And so that's what we are. We go through and make sure that we're having the discussion with the business owner about what are you concerned about, what's a bad day look like, and what do you need to be protected for and from. So we're going to do that for you in all ways that we possibly can. And so now that you're working with Tagrisk, Gene, I mean, how's that going for you? And talking with customers as to this different lens that you have this experience, you've done this, you've been them, and now what should they be considering?
Well, again, a lot of it, you have to look at each place is different. A fast food place is a lot different than, say, a full-service restaurant or a fine dining or a nightclub. So, and I think with my background and knowledge, I'm able to tackle those things and deal with a person on the same level, because it's not one size fits all for everybody. So I think it's important that you drill down on all these. Unfortunately, a lot of owners aren't that familiar with insurance and the nuances that are attached to it. So that's where it gets a little more complicated, because you need them to invest some of their time and effort into it and having that dialogue so you can better service them. And sometimes they don't have the patience. So that's probably the most difficult thing about, I think, our job.
Yeah, absolutely. I often say it's like we have to go out there with the conviction to let them know what we can do. They are, many business owners, maybe some of you that are watching this right now, think insurance is all the same and you have the same thing as anybody else and we can't do anything different. I'm here to tell you, 31 years of doing this, we constantly save people money. We constantly improve their insurance coverages. We constantly put them in a better place than they were before they met us. And this is why we've been able to earn people's business. And Gene would be my huge reference out here. That's why it's so sad when he sold the location, because he really turned me on to the entire block. You might have seen, Dave at Naples Rib previously. There's one, and many others all across and down the block. So Gene, now you're back and forth between Long Beach and Las Vegas. Is there a difference between the business owners in each region, or is it just relatively the same?
One of the big differences that I've come across is California, generally worker comp premiums are higher, and general liability is lower. In Las Vegas or Nevada, it's the opposite. I recently did worker comp, and I was like shocked at this big nightclub, and it was I don't want to say it was for free, but it was so
felt that way, huh?
it was so inexpensive for worker comp, and the general liability is much higher. So that's one big difference that I saw. As far as clientele goes, it's the same. It's everybody's so focused on price, which we acutely understand, and but there's ways of doing things where you can get good coverage and save money at the same time. One of the benefits that with Tagrisk is we have access to so many unique carriers, and that really is the big difference that I see, because many of the people I'm in competition with, they have one or two or three carriers, and that's what your choices are. With us, and we have many choices. I think the last one I did, I had something like 25 carriers give proposals. Well, that's significant.
Yeah.
And then you can talk to each of these underwriters from the carriers and discuss certain things and certain changes that you might be able to make that the insured doesn't really. It can go either way. If they're flexible, and we can save money that way and get better coverage.
Yeah, and I always look at it like we have everything on the shelf, right? It's kind of like a store that has every single brand, every single thing that a customer might need. And that's what's so important about us being specialists in this industry. We always have to be top of the line as far as marketability. It's what gives us our edge. And so when people say, well, what's the difference between you and somebody else? It's that. We're constantly pursued for that. We've been in business since 1985, taking care of nothing but the hospitality industry. So we fully understand who you are and what you need. want to segue off of insurance for a minute, because Gene has been involved, obviously owning a sports bar in the sports community, and so you've introduced me to some guys who've been tremendous athletes. Let's name drop a little bit. Who are the people that have come in here that you know personally, or that you just have fun with?
Oh, we've had a lot of people who have come through here. I remember Wilt Chamberlain came through here.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
You have the ladies all around him?
No, but it was kind of funny when he walked by. This ominous figure walked by.
7+, right?
Yeah, you couldn't see his head. You just saw this big, huge body that walked past, and then all of us, and then turned back. We were having a conversation, and he turned around and came in and started walking. He's huge. I mean, he's huge. If you thought Kobe's head was big, I mean, this guy was tremendous. He took up a lot of space. So as he was coming towards us, we were sitting on the back table. He was admiring, at that time we just had old black and white pictures on the wall, and he found his. And he come up to me, he goes, "You the owner?" I says, "Yes, sir." He said, "You got to get another picture up here of me, because I can't get any women with that picture up there." So Willie McGinnis, I'm trying to think now. Dennis Rodman. Dennis used to come in quite frequently. Incredible guy.
Yeah.
I don't want to say one of the few, but what was interesting with him, you couldn't give a comp to him, and he tipped.
Really?
And he paid. If he had an entourage, he took care of his own entourage. He was a pretty incredible guy, and he used to come down to the shore.
Quick little tidbit on Robin. Love the guy. When I'd see him down in Huntington, or I caught him at Long Beach Airport, he'd just yell out, "Worm!" Give it a little how you doing. Well, his son, I coach basketball also as my evening activities, and his son got his first dunk against my team. And Mom comes over after to ask my wife, "Hey, can we get video of this?" and I'm like, yes, of course you can. So I shared that with them. So he's got his first dunk on video, and his kids have done, equally as well. They're out there in the sports world doing their thing. But yeah, he was gracious.
Yeah, most all the athletes that we've had come in here, and there's been numerous. The Rams used to come here on Monday Night Football, and when they weren't playing on Monday night, and was not unusual for there to be maybe 8, 9, 10 of the Rams in here. And I guess some people don't know, but Dennis Hara was one of the original owners of Legends back in the day. It started in
one of your group.
No,
or before you.
Before me.
Gotcha.
And then when he retired, that's how I came in. Is he wanted to go back to East Coast and hunt and fish, and so his wife said, we'll stay here for a while, but 5 years, if we don't like it, we get to go back. And so they're here back in I don't know if they're back in California. They were back in California. I don't know if they ended up staying here.
This is paradise.
It was an open door. We had lots of, and we've had numerous networks here doing any kind of sports news here, NBC, ABC, CBS, ESPN, when Magic had the AIDS announcement, they were all here interviewing everybody. It was constant. It definitely is an icon. We're noted as the granddaddy of all sports bars.
Yeah, I would say, pardon the pun, but this place is legendary.
Yeah.
It has been around. For those of you viewers that are watching this, whether you're in state or not, Legends here on 2nd Street, which has so much foot traffic and just a vibe, it's a tremendous place. And so, with that being said, if you do own a bar, restaurant, nightclub, or lounge and want to be featured guest on the Tag Your It podcast, please reach out to us and let us know. Just send us a message on our website or our YouTube channel. Reach out to us and contact us just so we can put you on the docket, and then we'll get back to you. We'd love to hear your story. we're getting the opportunity to share that, and you and I have been involved with so many business owners. Even now, you're actually out there and providing advisement. You're not just on the insurance component, but you have other facets that you're helping these business owners with. So here's your commercial, Gene. Let's let these people know how you can help them as well.
Again, being around as long as I have, you can't help gathering so much information. Being a business owner, it's a minefield, and because I'm old, I've already made it through there, and I've gone through earthquakes, floods, fires, thefts. You
Sounds
name
biblical.
It. Yeah, it is. It is. I mean, I'd like to retire, but it just keeps drawing me in. So if you have any kind of questions whatsoever, whether they're insurance related or just business, marketing, anything that's related to your business, I've probably experienced it. And if I don't, I have so many contacts out there that can help. The hospitality industry is a nickel-dime business, especially in the restaurant business. Yep. So we're constantly having to find ways of saving money, but there's also ways of making money. And I've got incredible experience in all facets, but I got to tell you, I'm still learning. I learn every day, and I learn from the busboy to the person on the street. So I'm very open-minded, and I'm not narcissistic. I'm just out there still learning and helping people.
Yeah, and to that point, when we talk about saving money, it's the leverage I often do when I'm out there just going door to door and talking to business owners. Every one of you is a smart business owner. You're looking for ways to save money and cut corners, and you just usually don't think it's us, or you don't want it to be us, and dealing with insurance in any particular way. But the quote's free, and our review of your policy is free, and we can expose things and at least educate you, which is also free, of what it is you actually have and then how you want to go about things. Once again, my message to most business owners out there is that I know that you are a smart business owner looking for ways to cut corners. You're looking for the edges to help make yourself some money, maybe save an employee's job, maybe add more money to your profits. And we have been that time and time again. I have saved business owners millions of dollars over my career. The review of your policy is free. The quote we actually put together is free. But we generally find ourselves in a place where we can save you 20 to 40% off your costs while providing better coverage. It's just what we do. And so I know it's not always the thing that business owners are thinking of, but if you give us an opportunity to take a look and see what we might do, it just might be the edge that saves your business, or helps you save an employee's job, or helps you buy the filet mignon instead of the chuck. Whatever it is, it gives you the leverage of that, but the peace of mind of knowing that when you have the kind of claim Gene had, you're in the right place. You're exactly where you need to be, and you will be made whole at the end of the process. And I think that's just so important, because there are, like in the case of this place here, whether it's the memorabilia, whether it's the business income, whether it's the actual structure, the law and ordinance that comes as a part of it, these are all such important coverages that make a difference at the end of the day. So reach out to us. Gene, when we're talking about other aspects of the business, I mean, you've been, this location here is just really the hub of the community. You've been tied in with Long Beach State, and so for those of you that are near universities, this business has kind of been grown by the relationships that are around here. Would you like to share any of that? Because we're really going to talk and celebrate Legends as it exists right now, and what they are and why people should come by when they're in the area.
Well, to me, a lot of people say, "Oh, you're so lucky you have Legends, and you're owner, and comes with a whole lot of stuff and adulations for what we do." But I've always told them that really we're just the custodian. The community owns Legends, and what we try to do is give them what they want. So that's kind of been what we've focused on all this time. And I think that's probably the greatest part of the success. When I left Legends, people asked, well, what do you miss? And I says, well, I miss the staff that we had. I miss the clients that we had here, our patrons. And the last thing was that what we were able to do in the community. And we were extremely active in the community. I was president of the Belmont Shore Business Association for 13 years. I didn't show up at a meeting one time, and I got elected, and then I found myself I was stuck on the job for 13 years, not because I was that great, I don't think, but because nobody else wanted the job. So we
hit you up when you couldn't protest.
Yeah. So but I never really focused on Legends. I focused on Belmont Shore as a whole and the businesses there, and I think that's why. And then we had tremendous involvement, which Legends still has, with Long Beach State and the athletic programs, etc. And I think that's one of the rewarding things, is that you're able to do so much in a community, and it comes back to you. So. I think that was a blessing to me.
No, truly. I mean, I think you and I have that, that element we share, right? Mm-hmm. Gene also is a veteran and served in the military, as well as I did. And so, we just bring a sense of service and value to what we're looking to do and to bring to the community. And kind of when it all gets wrapped up together, then tremendous things happen. And so that is part of what we do at Tagrisk, is that we have that sense of service, that sense of duty that we bring to our customers and to our business. And I think that, you can't put a price on that.
No, absolutely. And one of the things I'm very happy and proud of is the fact that the new owners who took over from me have continued in that same vein. So Legends is still a legend.
Yeah, which is awesome. I mean, we really love that opportunity and to be here to serve you and serve the public. And so we want to thank everybody here at Legends for allowing us the opportunity to show their beautiful place, to be able to share that with you, our viewers and listeners. We hope that what we brought together for you is something that is educational. We look to do that in each one of our shows. So with that being said, I want to thank you for watching Tag You're It. We hope you enjoyed the show. Please don't forget to like or subscribe us on our YouTube channel, and please follow us on all of our socials. We're everywhere. To learn more about what we do, please visit our website, tagrisk.com, Tagrisk.com. Until next time, take care, stay inspired, and remember to have a lot of fun.
Thank you.